Hello, welcome to Melanin and Albinoid Live. I am Lydia Bimbola. Today I will be talking about the racist system. And I believe those of you that have been following my blog, I've concentrated on the racist system for some time now. There was a time I was concentrating on the gang stalking program, which I still have every proof to concentrate on. But right now, my concentration is on the racist system. Of course, as a melanin person, I'm also part of the receiving end of this vicious and wicked system established against the melanin people. Well, I believe when I talk about the racist system, people see racism and they see hatred from one race to the other, white to black or black to white. I've explained over and over again that racism is not an hatred from a white to black or a black to white. Racism is a system that has been established against the melanin race, but it is a system that mind control both the melanin and the albinoid race. Well, in the melanin case, it's mind control for destruction, targeted for destruction, for harassment, persecution, theft, and all the kind of atrocity of oppression you can ever think of, and even sexual molestation. But on the albinoid side, it's a system that has created a strong division, hatred, and a very strong fear for the melanin race. That's why you see, for no reason, an albinoid person will be fearful. Not every albinoid, because the albinoid by default was born into this racist system. So this racist system has created mindset of hatred towards the melanin race, a mindset of fear towards the melanin race, and a mindset of always attempting to bully, oppress, or terrorize the melanin race. Well, as usual, I concentrate on my own personal experiences, and once in a while I throw in other experiences. Of course, because I'm using a channel, a social network that basically are sensitive to copyright things, so I try to just focus more on my own personal experiences. So I will not go against any copyright laws or whatever like that. But today I'll be talking about 17-year-old Treyvon Matins. It's a situation that happened years ago, but it's something I could not just get off my mind. There's so many instances. We have melanin brothers and sisters in America that has exposed. I mean, it's everywhere, but in the aggression upon the melanin race in America, it's really frightening. It's something we cannot keep quiet about. We cannot just leave them to their own fate and watch in the news while they take down, they kill the melanin brothers and sisters every day. There is a system. The system is called racism. The racist system is meant to destroy the melanin race. This is not an hate message. I do not have, I repeat, I am not an anti-albinoid or anti-other race. I am anti-oppression. Oppression can come from anywhere, but the concentration of oppression in the whole world has always come from a particular race. I leave you to be the judge of that race. So I am against oppression, and I'll continue to be against oppression. I'll continue to stand against oppression because it is a crime against the human race. 17-year-old Treyvon Matins, who was to graduate he was supposed to graduate college the same month that he was targeted and killed by a single shot fired by a white supremacist that has been known for his race, for his hatred towards the melanin race. Of course, automatically mind controlled by the racist system, and he has demonstrated like a perpetrator. I talk about the gang stalking program. I talk about the racist system and the abuse on human race. Gang stalking program is the fact that group of delinquent-like characters They target a particular individual, they stalk the particular individual, they bully the particular individual, they established campaign of shame, the slander against that particular individual, and make that individual's hell. Anywhere they go to, they tell lies, they defame their character, they release slander campaign and all whatnot against the targeted individual. The George Zimmerman, the situation surrounding the killing of this Treyvon Matins looks so much, at least to me, like a targeted individual. We've always been, we're the most preyed upon race in the world. We know that. We have a young men, especially in America. It happens also here in Europe. Only that, you see, there's a situation whereby some people, they follow the law to destroy your life, in the sense that they're mindful that there's a law, they can't be caught. So they're mindful of the law, so they will persecute you against, manipulating the law to destroy your life. That's the kind of persecution we're going through here in Europe. But in America, it's an instant justice by law enforcement agents shooting down innocent melanin people, shooting them down, even being aggressive to pregnant melanin people. I'm not saying all this attack is only on melanin people. There are so many races that goes through all kind of situations, but we all agree that the concentration is more on the melanin. Then this George Zimmerman, the situation surrounding the killing of Treyvon Matins looks like somebody that has actually begun stalking this young 17-year-old undergraduate that was supposed to graduate just some few weeks before he was brutally shot in the chest by George Zimmerman, who was a known racist. Mind control KKK was it's a mind control KKK. He has a mind control KKK like mindset. Hispanic man. George Zimmerman, who was an overzealous, self-appointed community watch, called the police on this fateful day to report a young melanin boy who was minding his own business in his own community, in his own area, going to his house from the shop he went to buy some sweets or something like that, and he was walking home speaking on his cell phone to his melanin girlfriend. He reported to the police that a young African boy, he was suspicious character. He was on the phone speaking with his girlfriend and walking home. He did not have any. He was not with any weapon. He was not, acting suspiciously. But anyway, this was George Zimmerman's version of what he saw. Well, they called him they called him that it was a self-appointed community watch. But let's look at the gang stalking program, because I've already explained that the community watch is a perpetrator group of individuals, psychopaths, sadistic by nature, appointed by those in authority to stalk individuals. I have been stalked so many times when I'm on trip, in the bus, in the train, even where I live. They come and they try to stigmatize my character and begin to launch a defamatory campaign against me to create tension around me. The gang stalking program is real. The racist system is real. This guy called the law enforcement agent reported this guy going on his own, eating his sneakers, whatever, was on his phone with his girlfriend. But he noticed this because, you see, when you see a white man in the dark, a black young boy, 17-year-old melanin boy, sees a white man stalking him, already is filled with fear. His eyes, while speaking with his girlfriend and actually lamenting about the situation that he's seeing with his eyes, that there's this guy stalking him, watching him. He looks so suspicious and so creepy looking. And that was his own version as he spoke with his girlfriend on the phone. Well, this guy came up. I mean, he called the police after calling him. He made a racial slur, something like, this fucking whatever. They always escape. They always escape. You see, I'm really surprised by the group of lawyers that defended the late young undergraduate 17-year-old melanin boy. Because even though they seem so zealous, they called the Judge Zimmerman all kind of funny names, but I think they were all acting. The gang stalking program is such a vicious and a wicked program. The racist system has been established. It has been established in the judicial system because we have the law enforcement, stalking us down and persecuting us and doing all kind of things. But because it's with the person in authority, most of the time they get away. They can set you up easily. They can frame you up easily. They can do anything easily because they have the advantage of the law against you, even though they are abusing the law. But that's just the way the situation is. So after using some racial slur and all this whatever, they always escape. You see, the KKK has the characteristics of stalking the melanin people. They stalk them with intention to scare us, and with intention to kill us sometimes, either by shooting, by mobbing, by lynching, by whatever, by stabbing, or whatever means. So we have an history of slave trade, whereby we've been killed by slave masters, whereby we've been molested, we've been persecuted, we've been oppressed for so many years. And after slave trade, we have the KKK that's still harassing us and killing us and lynching us and stabbing us and shooting us and doing all kind of destructive things to us. Of course, most of us have the mindset. That when you see an albino acting funny around you, you have to be extra careful. We actually immediately go on the defensive mode. Somebody that is not nervous before, you begin to wonder what he's about to do. If he pulls out a gun and shoots you down, of course, there is the law that will quickly cover up that it was in self-defense. Like police kill pregnant, harmless women, and they say it's self-defense. Who should be defending who? The innocent person without a gun, or the police that just shoot at sight, as long as they can verify that your skin is dark? Now, this guy went to court. When he told the police asked him, "Are you following him?" He said, "Yes, he's following the guy." And the police told him to back off. He should not do the following. They will come up and investigate the situation. But he never listened. Because we never listened, he still followed the guy. He continued to create tension around the guy. Because it provokes tension in already frightened 17-year-old. If it was a melanin man, of course, he can think maturely. He can keep his eyes on him. He knows how to defend himself. But this is a harmless 17-year-old boy. A 17-year-old boy. And when he stalked him, of course, the already frightened boy, because he showed his fear on his conversation with his melanin girlfriend. He showed his fear, but this guy came to him, and when he came to him, according to the phone conversation, because that should be what is not the defendant is Judge Zimmerman, but the guy's group of attorney, what they would have concentrated on to prove, because we have liars, professional liars, that I believe this is an orchestrated death, as like there's so many orchestrated deaths of the melanin people. But basically, they would have concentrated, the legal counsels would have concentrated on the fact that this guy was speaking with his girlfriend on the phone, and he showed fear that he identified somebody that was stalking him, because stalking is actually a crime. That was stalking him. You see, this self-appointed community watch, he does not have any legal authority to do what he's doing, but he's doing it anyway. Whether he's doing it for good or not, he's doing it anyway, because all these community watch are perpetrators. All these community watchers are perpetrators. They are actually perpetrators in the gang stalking program. The gang stalking program, there are initiations, and they swear an oath of silence to commit crime, and a oath of silence, and they are always compensated. Okay, then this guy, after he provoked tension, he provoked fear in the boy. He was stalking him, he was bullying him. The guy was going on his own. He was not up to anything criminal or whatever. And even if it was not the police. The police have already told him to back off, but he still continued anyway. So it provoked reaction from the guy. So even though the defense or that the guy whatever attacked him, no, it was the guy that was acting in self-defense, not Judge Zimmerman, because the guy was acting in self-defense. He was ready that this white guy is stalking him. He doesn't know if he has a gun, if he has a knife, if he has anything to harm him. Of course, he was ready to defend himself if anything was going through, because while he was still speaking with his girlfriend, the phone fell out of his hands while they were throwing punches, and in his own panic, probably the guy, Zimmerman, told him something, probably said something like, you're going to die today. Because he said, the guy said he's going to die. But I believe it was Zimmerman that told the young boy that was targeted, because he's a 17-year-old undergraduate melanin guy that was supposed to graduate just a few weeks' time. You understand the reason why, but the melanin that are graduates, that are educated, are the main targets. They are the main target of destruction, because when you take away all the intelligent, the professional, the educated ones, the illiterate are easy to manipulate. The illiterate are easy to control. But the ones that are educated, they are the ones that can see through any facade. So this is a young, educated black melanin boy that was supposed to graduate just few weeks before he was brutally shot dead by a white supremacist. And when they started throwing punches, and the young man, fighting for his life from this white supremacist that he has already, there was a testimony that he actually ate the black. So he actually went with the intention to kill this boy, because he had a gun with him. So I know gun is permitted in America and things like that. You are a self-appointed community watch, which I call a perpetrator, and you have a gun with you. What are you doing with the gun? Because you love your community so much that you are the one doing the policing all alone. I remember back home, in Nigeria, there was a time we were having situation of armed robbery in my area. And my dad, all the landowners in the area, my dad was one of them. They came together, they had a meeting, they would do community watch. Just for the period the thing was getting intensified. So what they did was that they took turns, but in groups. They took turns at about 12 midnight, the time the armed robbery was always concentrated, They took turns, and they were walking from one end of the street to the other, from one end of the street to the other. You understand? But in groups, not just one person carrying gun. So one person carrying gun is actually out there for a mission to kill a targeted individual. And unfortunately, Treyvon Matins, the 17-year-old undergraduate young melanin, was the target, because they had the intention to waste his life before he had opportunity to hold on to the power of education. Well, in court, that day, according to him, he had bruises, but the bruises that he had was not that profound, because the bruises he had, of course, with the kind of fight they were having, probably, the young guy did not have any scratch or any particular thing on his eye. Maybe he had some scratch, but when you're self-defending, you do everything if you feel the person wants to overpower you, because we're talking about perpetrators that they are demon possessed. So it is possible that he overpowered the young guy, or it was overpowering the young guy, and in his desperation to save himself, he was, fighting recklessly. How did the young man know he has a gun? This George Zimmerman planned everything. Everything was planned, and I believe the law enforcement agent also had helped him to cover up the traces of this, because it was a gang stalking program of a murder mission against a young undergraduate melanin young man. And while they were fighting, of course, the late boy had his own bruises, got him by in the struggle, and he was shouting for his life. He was shouting for his life. Help, help. I remember also with my Milan theft of my property, when the police came, when I went there to challenge the custodian that stole my that was in charge of the storage where I kept my property, and they tried to gather against me because I've already gone there. That was the second time I was going there. No, that was the third time I was going there, I believe. No, that was the second or the third time. That was the second time. Sorry, the first time was on the 29th. The second time was on the 34th. So on the 29th, they were not expecting me, so they were not prepared. But on the 31st, they were prepared that I was coming. I was angered. 80,000 worth of my property. I was angered. I was bitter, and they knew I was really up for something. And when I came there, they tried to attack me. They tried to fall against one, and they were trying to attack me, and they called the police at the same time they were trying to attack me. So they created a scene, of course, that they were already taught to set me up. So what happened is that while he was talking, I was shouting, so the law enforcement agent would hear on the phone that help is 4 against 1. Help, come quickly, because he was making the call, but I was the one desperate and telling them, please come quickly, because it is 4 against 1. But the law enforcement, when they came, there was no reason to get anybody arrested. There was no punch thrown. They tried to attack me. They became a little bit physical. I registered what the conversation that went on that day. So basically what happened is that when the police came after I forced them to open the storage and everything, the police stopped me from taking pictures as a proof of my properties that was in the premises. That's number one. Number two, the law enforcement agent actually also the law enforcement agent now told me to bring something out to show them what it was, like a joke. You can watch the video. It's one of my videos, the Milan gang stalking robbery program. You can watch it 29th and the 31st, because there were 2 different days. And when I was saying this, when I took the something out, they used the opportunity to take me to their station. So they created an impression as if I was arrested on the scene that day, as if I did something wrong. So the gang stalking program, I know it so well. This George Zimmerman is a perpetrator. They targeted this Treyvon Matins with intention. He went with the intent to kill him. In court, the defense, the prosecutor that was defending Treyvon Matins, they didn't do a very good job. They seem to be angry with the George Zimmerman, calling him racist and everything. Yes, they were just, I know this very well, because in my own court case also that I have against this for the theft of my property by the law, not by the law, because that has not been established, but the custodian said the law enforcement actually took the property. So, and they kept the GPS in my property. So why should the law enforcement keep a GPS on my property? So definitely they are involved. There's nothing that will convince me otherwise. But the case is in court, and I'm fighting it tooth and nail. All my lawyers have been visited. They've tried to manipulate lawyers. So I know how this thing goes. The gang stalking program is a program of actors and actresses. This Trevor, the defense unit, they might try their calling. At the end of the day, they will all have a coffee or have a glass of whiskey over when Judge Zimmerman was acquitted, because basically they didn't take the vital point that would have been used and convince the jury. The jury shouldn't have been even convinced. They would have been convinced if they did their own work properly, because the phone call of the girl was a major instrument also, because he was explaining to the girlfriend that he felt threatened by this guy stalking him. Stalking is a crime, and the police told him to back off, but he did not, because he had the intention to kill. Welcome back. So as I was saying, it was just trying to create a kind of testimony to have a proof that he called the police, and he did this to the officer. And, it's all part of the acting. They already taught him what he's going to do, how he's going to behave concerning the case, so he can be acquitted. And unfortunately, even the police phone call the man made, they would have been able to pin something on him, like it was a premeditated racial hatred or whatever. Everything he was acquitted of everything. Not even that they could hold that on him. He was acquitted of that through self-defense. Who is defending who? The late boy was defending himself. He came, when you're stalking somebody, the boy did not commit a crime. He was not a police officer to pull down anybody or to stop anybody. He never had any authority to do what he was doing, but he was acquitted. He never had any authority to stop a citizen, a free will citizen. He didn't have any authority to do that, but he stopped the young boy that was supposed to graduate some few weeks from that time. He stalked him, he frightened him, he terrorized him, and the boy acted in self-defense. And because that was what he wanted, he was trying to provoke a fight. So while they were fighting, he made sure the guy gave him some bruises, which was just cleaned for about a few minutes. When the paramedics they came on the scene, they cleaned his wounds for about 5 minutes, because the time the boy died and the time the police arrived and took him to the station is just about I believe 10-15 minutes away. When you take 15 minutes out of 30 minutes, I believe they used 10 minutes on the late boy, they pronounced him dead on the spot, and they cleaned him for about 5-6 minutes. So that was not a deep cut. That was not a deep cut. You can have bruises like that from self-defense. If somebody come against me and I'm already fearful of the person, I don't know but when I found out you have a weapon and maybe probably you said he was going to die. John Zimmerman said, today you're going to die. And the boy got more frightened and he started screaming, help, help, help. Because he felt he could not overpower this guy. He had a gun, so it's better he started screaming. Believe me, maybe his father would even hear his scream. Probably that was what he was screaming about. So his father, because George Zimmerman went there with an intention. He's not the one screaming, because he knows he has a weapon to take the life of this young guy. In the court, a bad work was done by the lawyers, but this fearful African American, when he saw this strong-faced melanin guy stalking him, harassed him, they fought, and he finally put a gun to his chest and ended the life of this 17-year-old undergraduate young melanin man. Now, the interesting situation is that they try to villainize this melanin young undergraduate, 17-year-old young undergraduate melanin boy, and victimize the aggressor. They make the aggressor become the victim of the situation. He was the one that was going to community work because he's a perpetrator. He was the one that the police wanted to back off, but he still went after the boy. He provoked anger, he provoked fear, he provoked tension around the boy. The boy was the one that defended himself, but unfortunately, he was the one that had the gun to his advantage. Now, the boy fought for his life, he screamed out for help, and of course, all those things now was turned against him, because the only true testimony was the killer and the victim that was now dead. Now, the interesting thing is, George Michael Zimmerman, who is a security guard. Surely a security guard is not an educated, he doesn't have masters or PhD or whatever. Maybe he finished college or not. I didn't even try to find out any, apart from, some things I just tried to find out about him. He works as a security guard. And this George Michael Zimmerman was acquitted of all charges in Florida. But this 35-year-old security guard has a net worth of, guess what? $800 million. A security guard. $800 million. Remember, his wife said they have some financial issue. So now let's assume the gang stalkers came to him like they always do. They recruit new people every day. They saw that he was financially strangulated. He has an history of hating black people. They've targeted some black people that will be a success in the future, and they want to end their life before they become anything close to being a success. Now they invited this overzealous citizen that just wants to be known. He wants to be a police officer, not in uniform. He wants to be this wannabe weird person, and he has financial situation that they find it difficult to go by. According to his wife, he testified that they had financial issue. But this guy in 2019 has a net worth of $800 million, a security guard. Now, if you don't believe this guy is a perpetrator, if you don't believe all this is just acting, it was a premeditated murder. They intentionally targeted the bright melanin young man that was attracted to melanin women. If he was attracted to the albinoid women, probably this guy wouldn't have been dead. But because he's promising, is educated, is about to be graduated, is probably a A student or C student or whatever, but definitely it was bright enough to create concern for the gang stalking program to bring him down. And they chose to kill him in his own premises. They didn't plan an accident, they didn't plan a gang, attacking him, but they chose one of their KKK overzealous perpetrators who was more than willing to carry out this aggression. An aggression that is well planned. Even the police call he made was not even clear enough to be used as an evidence in court. The police claim it seems credible. The life of a young, promising melanin died, and we had no justice. Well, when you take a case to court, justice is supposed to be punishment for the wicked, and it's supposed to be victory for the victim. But we lost yet another melanin promising young man to the cold hands of the gang stalking program and a racist system that is always backing up our aggressor. As I said, I'm against oppression, and enough is enough. If we don't fight oppression, you see, let me tell you something. The melanin race must understand one thing. Nobody's going to give you freedom. Not especially the race that has held you captive for years. They like you being slaves. They enjoy you being slaves. They like to be in control. They love to torture you. They love to oppress you. They love to see you be vulnerable while they humiliate us. They stigmatize us. They place us in a class with a bad name. They steal our property. They manipulate justice. They turn us against each other. And as Michael Jackson said, all I really want to say, they don't really care about us, and they don't really care about us. We have a racist system that is killing us, is taking us out, is killing us emotionally, psychologically, physically, emotional distress, and every day we go through, every melanin has a story to tell against this racist system. Nobody will give us freedom if we don't fight it. Oppression is a crime. It must be stopped. It must be fought against, and we must fight for our fundamental human rights. Gang stalking program is a program established against the human race to destroy the whole of the human race. The racist system is particularly targeted against the melanin race. Now, what do you think? Do you think Judge Michael Zimmerman, as they claim to give a verdict that he was acquitted of all charges because he was trying to defend himself from a young, harmless boy that he chose to stalk. He called racial names, being a race he hates and detests so much, and becoming $800 million rich in the year 2019, just a few years after his mission was accomplished. And there are so many other things that happened afterwards. He was also arrested. Somebody also targeted him for a shootout or whatever, but they missed. Listen, the gang stalking program is not a joke. The racist system is definitely not a joke. And the abuse of human race is definitely not funny at all. My blog is about exposing the gang stalking program, the racist system, and the abuse of the human race. So, unfortunately, it's not a blog that is going to entertain. It's not a blog that would entertain you or make you feel good about yourself. It's a blog that tells about the cancer in our society. We should be worried and we can fight together to stop oppression in our community, in our society, and in our world. Thank you for listening to me. I am Lady Abimbola for Melanin and Happy Not Life. Remember, the greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And as I always say, face your fears, elevate your mind, and resist every temptation to panic. I will see you in my next blog. Thank you very much.